Welcome to this edition of Safety First. I'm your host, Tim Kelly, joined today by Suffolk Police Chief Thomas Bennett, and the subject matter for today, body cameras. Chief Bennett, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you.
And with body cameras, talk about what's going on with the Suffolk Police Department, where y'all are with this process to bring body cameras as part of your equipment, and the training and everything that's kind of behind the process.
Well, where we are right now is we're finalizing our policy. As a matter of fact, I anticipate having the city attorney and a few other departments in the city start reviewing that this week. So the policy is a big part of this. We have to get our policy right, and we're at the point now where we're comfortable with it. We're going to get it formally approved. Secondly, in the next few weeks, actually in the first part of June, we're going to begin our training process where we not only train trainers, but we're going to train all of our officers, and they will be issued the equipment. And I am anticipating, if everything goes well, by the end of June, 1st of July, we'll have approximately 125 body cameras out on the street. And by that I mean all of our patrol officers will be issued body cameras. Both of our net teams, which are our gang units, and our school resource officers will have them while they're working this summer, and when they go into the schools next fall, they'll have the body cameras then.
Okay. Now, how does the camera work? I mean, how does it function? And I know that y'all did a lot of research on your part to make sure you were getting the right equipment for your department.
We did. That was one thing we worked on. We started in this process, the latest version of this, in September. And we had a group of people that looked at the equipment, the actual IT part of the equipment, the software and the hardware. So I'll talk about the hardware first.
Sure.
The hardware, it's really two main pieces, and that is the camera and the battery pack. The battery pack is a object that looks like a pack of cigarettes, not quite as big.
Right.
And it's the power source solely for the camera. The camera is very small, about as big as your pinky finger, and it contains the camera and the chip where all the data is stored actually. And that is worn in one of many different areas. You will see officers that we bought them every option there is as far as mounting.
Sure.
Some will wear them on glasses, some will wear them on their collars, some will wear them on their epaulette. Whatever position they can wear it on their body to get the best footage is what we're looking for.
Right.
So it's two main pieces. In connection with that, there's a software portion called evidence.com. And that manages all the video that the officers take. What's going to happen is they're going to wear the camera their entire shift, and when something happens that requires them by policy to record, they're going to hit the on button on the camera, and they will record until the incident's concluded.
Got it.
And that will be stored on the camera. At the end of their shift, they will dock their camera in a docking station. It will recognize that camera is assigned to Officer Smith,
right,
and it will download all the video into the proper Officer Smith folder,
right,
and that is for the evidence that we're going to keep.
Got it.
And let me talk a little bit about evidence.
Sure.
We're not going to store forever every video that's taken.
Right.
What we will do, or what our officers will do, is they will determine when there's a video of evidentiary nature, something that we're going to use against somebody. For example, if they do a traffic stop on someone,
right,
and it turns into a DUI arrest, and we're going to want that video for court later, when they're going to tag it as evidence, and when they download it in the download station, it's going to be saved,
okay,
and it will not be deleted. If it's just a normal encounter where there's not an arrest and there's no need to save the tape for evidence,
right,
it will be downloaded. It will only be kept for a period of 30 days, and then it will be deleted. So we're not going to store every single contact we have from here to eternity.
Right.
We could not afford that. It's,
Sure.
it's much too expensive.
Now, with the data storage, correct me if I'm wrong, that's actually being stored off-site. So again, like you said, it's in the cloud. So it's not a storage issue on your part. You talked about keeping things for eternity, but also for security purposes, there's some security measures in place with the site and the resources you're using. Correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
But we're paying for that storage.
That's right.
And the more you store, the more you pay.
Right. That's how most things tend to work these days.
It could become very, very expensive. So what we're doing,
right,
like I just said, is we're storing that evidence,
yes,
and
yes,
keeping that evidence, which is critical,
correct,
to future court or other incidents like officer complaints.
Right. Now, it sounds like the process from the recording, the storage, the downloading, if you will, has gotten a lot easier than perhaps some of the other ones that you may have looked at before, correct?
It was about 4 years ago, we got some cameras donated to us. The cameras themselves were not high quality, They didn't work at all at night,
Right.
and some of the evening shots weren't very good, twilight shots. And in addition to that, there was absolutely no software
Right.
to manage it.
Right.
And we quickly identified that that was going to be a horrible issue because we just didn't have any means to effectively do that. The cameras didn't work well, so we just didn't do it. We revisited it this summer. And then Ferguson happened,
Right.
and you know it's become real obvious that it's advantageous for everyone for police to have cameras.
Sure.
And the city manager and city council approved it for our city in last September, and we've been working on it ever since, and we're getting it implemented in June.
Now, what has been your experience in talking with the officers who've kind of tested or been using it so far in the capacity that y'all are doing it right now, as far as how, like you talk about, it's small, it's lightweight, but just, you know, their awareness of that it's there. Do they even think about that they're wearing a camera, other than the fact, like you said, you have to initiate it with a button push or anything?
It doesn't cause them any problems
Right.
as far as wearing it. It's very lightweight. You know, you bring up an issue about, you mentioned officers forgetting or cutting on the button.
Yes, sir.
We're going to have occasions, especially the first month or two, where officers forget to cut on their camera, and you know it's required in our policy that they do it, and we're going to treat it like any other incident. We give people chances.
Sure.
They make mistakes, so we anticipate that every once in a while our officers are going to forget to cut on the camera. We
Right.
hope it doesn't become a pattern. If it becomes a pattern, then it becomes a problem.
I understand.
But it's like anything new. I've talked to officers in other cities that I've seen wearing them, and I've asked them, you know, what are the issues? And I've had a few of them tell me, you know, forgetting to cut the thing on
Right,
sometimes
right.
because it's so lightweight and it's you don't even feel like it's on, and
Right.
sometimes you forget doing it. But let me say,
Sure.
in addition to that, the company that makes it, which is Taser International, realizes that that is a potential issue, and they're actually doing a new program, a test program, where these cameras are going to be cut on when the officer opens the door of the car to get out. Much like our in-car cameras on the dash,
Right.
when we cut on our blue lights and siren to stop somebody,
Yes.
the camera cuts on. And I believe they're actually going to the testing in the field on that this summer. So hopefully that will become a reality, and that will eliminate any cutting the camera on issues.
Now, you talk about the in-car cameras. Those are going to still stay in service, correct?
Yes, we have approximately 60 in-car cameras in our patrol vehicles. So that's a little over a third of our fleet.
Right.
They're very expensive. I do not intend to buy a lot more because they're $8,000 a piece.
Right.
But we do have a good bunch of them out there, and they have been very beneficial. So they give another perspective. They're mounted to the car. They look right out the front of the car and only out the front of the car. And it's a lot better for when you're driving than a camera when the officer's bouncing around. So we're going to keep those. They're going to complement each other, so to speak.
Got it. You talk about the quality of the camera when we're talking about the body camera, but really what you're trying to do with that camera is visualize and audio capture, if you will, as well, what the officer is seeing. You don't want to enhance it and make it something more than what it is, so that way when you or your staff go back to look at it, or anybody looks at it, they're seeing what the officer saw and also heard during that incident, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay.
That is correct. And you asked me about the quality of the cameras. The ones that we purchased, which just about every agency in Tidewater has purchased or is purchasing,
Right.
which is Taser Axon cameras. They're outstanding. Even at night, they're outstanding. So the quality over the last 4 years in body cameras has increased dramatically. We're very comfortable with it. And the software solution we've got through Taser, which is called evidence.com, is a great system, and we feel like it's going to work real well. We're actually testing right now in the field, doing a small test. We have 5 officers that have them on the street right now that are testing, and that program's going well so far. So we haven't hit any major stumbling blocks yet.
Right, good. Now, what is your philosophy, and maybe the department's philosophy as well, with regard to the cameras themselves, as far as enhancing how you and your staff do your jobs?
Well, let me say this about the cameras. They will protect our citizens.
Yes.
They'll protect our officers. Believe it or not, we get quite a few false complaints made against officers, so the cameras will tell us the truth. And that's the third point. You know, when you're dealing with eyewitnesses, human beings, we all see things a little differently. That's why in a lot of these cases across the country where you see that, you know, there are 2 witnesses that see this, there may be another witness that sees this version. Nobody not everybody sees the exact same thing the same way.
Right.
With a camera, you are recording exactly what happens. There's no debate. What the camera records is what happened.
Correct.
There's no interpretation, no human factor in that. So that's going to be the key to everything. What you see is what you get,
Correct.
and you deal with what you see.
Right. Now, in cities that maybe through your experience that have implemented these cameras, do you feel like it, certainly the officer knows it's there and is capturing what he and she are going through, but the people that they interact with, where, like you say, there's maybe a false accusation of this or that, does it change any of the philosophy on the other side, so to speak?
I think it does. I think it adjusts everyone's behavior.
Right.
I think if you know you're being recorded, if you're a citizen, you're probably going to behave a little bit better, I would imagine. And I think if you're an officer and you know you got a camera on, you're probably going to behave a little bit better than usual also. And so what you're going to have, hopefully, is more civil interactions.
Correct.
And if you read some of the information that some of the early police departments that have put cameras out very early,
right.
They're finding that is the case, that there are less officer complaints of rudeness and things like that.
Sure.
And citizens in some situations that typically result in a lot of, I want to say this carefully, a lot of situations where they may be arrested or they may behave in a not so good manner or kind of taking notice that the camera's rolling. The camera beeps twice.
Okay.
About every minute, so the officer knows that it's working.
Right.
Citizens are going to hear that beeping too.
Right.
And so they're going to know that they're being recorded, and I think it's going to adjust everybody's behavior.
Good deal. So again, when the rollout timetable that you have in place right now with the training for the officers, training the trainers, all that. So when will we see, again, reiterate the implementation, when all this will be really, I use the word in full force on the street, so to speak? What are you expecting?
By the end of June,
okay.
We should have just about all the cameras out on the street.
Okay.
They will start going out on the street about the 12th of June, and that's when we start training our officers.
Got it.
As they're trained,
right.
They're going to get the cameras and go to work.
Got it. Okay.
So we anticipate 2.5, 3 weeks, we'll get just about everybody in patrol trained.
Okay. Good deal. Anything else you want to add as we close out this segment? No?
Nope.
Okay. Well, Chief, thank you for being with us, talking about body cameras, giving us the layout for how it's going to work for the Suffolk Police Department, and we look forward to the implementation of that. And as you noted, it'll certainly let the officers know they have that resource there, as well as the civilian as well, because again, video doesn't lie, right?
That's right.
That's right. So we, again, a good resource, and thank you for the leadership in bringing those to the department and getting that program underway.
Thank you.
All right. That will do it for this edition of Safety First. I'm your host, Tim Kelly. We'll see you next time.